Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Tech Motoring. On today's episode we're going to be reviewing this. This is the Launch C-Reader Battery 5001 OBD2 diagnostic tool that does a lot more than just check engine lights. Also does battery diagnostics, ABS, SRS, you name it, it pretty much does it. So can this take on all the acronyms that it shows on the box? Well, that's what we're going to go through today on Tech Motoring. So hit that subscribe button, stay tuned. We're coming right back at you. All right, everybody, well, welcome back. So Kingbolen, the company that owns the Launch brand, reached out to me and asked me if I can review this scanner for them. So I gladly took on the challenge to take a look at this. Now, this is one of those scanners that's more than just an OBD2 diagnostic. Plug it in, gets you check engine lights, and you're done. This is a lot more than that. And I've recently tested other OBD2 diagnostic tools that do similar things, and this one seems to be doing even more than that. So just to kind of give you off the bat what it shows on the box: battery, so it does battery diagnostics on 12-volt batteries on cars; ABS, so you got brake systems; SRS for your airbags; engine, obviously check engine lights. It also does automatic transmission, and it also claims to reset a lot of lights like your oil lights, brake lights, TPMS. I mean, so it does a lot of functions in this one little scanner here. So let's break this down, let's take a look at it, see what this offers in the box, number one, because that's important. And then number two, we're gonna go ahead and plug it into a car, take a look at some of the functionality of it, and see how well it works. Now, it also does support free lifetime updates for the scanner. That's something you can look forward to as well. If you buy the scanner today, and if it doesn't support your car that you buy, 3 or 4 years from now, it may end up supporting it down the road with updates. So let's dive into the box and take a look at what you get in here. So the box is really nice, a little bit beat up from shipping, but no big deal because it looks like they take all the proper precautions inside the box. All right. Okay, so it looks like we got a little bit of a start guide here. Okay, so basically it's just a couple pages of what you need to get started, and it's just a bunch of other languages in here. But yeah, other than that, it looks like it's gonna be pretty self-explanatory. So what we have here are the two 12-volt battery cables that we are going to be using to test batteries. Now, it claims that you could test batteries while they're in the car, so we'll have to see how that works. And it looks like this just plugs into the scanner on that side. We'll take a look at that in a little bit. Now, the thing is about this is that, a lot of times if you have an aging battery, that might be 4, 5, 6 years old, and you're not really sure if the battery is getting old, you can take the battery to a local auto parts store, and they typically will do a free diagnostic on the battery. Of course, a lot of times that requires you to have to take the battery out of the car, bring it inside, have them test it. Sometimes it's a free service that they offer. Sometimes it's free if you buy a battery with them. It really all depends. Really, it's one of those things where if you can avoid that situation of having to go out to a place to get this done, why not do it yourself at home? Especially if you're the type of person who's a do-it-yourselfer, like I am, do stuff in your garage. This is actually a nice tool to have, and not very expensive either. So it looks like we got another booklet here. It's another user manual. This one looks like it has a lot more information in it as far as what it can do. We'll go through all that in a little bit as well. All right, so here is the scanner. Oh, there we go. So yeah, it's got some weight to it. It feels like there's quite a bit going on in here. It looks like there are 2 ports on here. It looks like there's an old style serial port, if I'm not mistaken. And then of course there's this round port here, which is for the 12-volt cables that we mentioned just a little while ago. So that obviously plugs into there. And of course at the bottom here, we do also have the cable that plugs into that serial port right there. And then on this side, this is your OBD2 diagnostic port side. Comes with a little cover. That's a nice little addition there. Looks like we got a USB-C cable That's cool to see. So obviously there's a USB-C port on here. It looks like there's a little flap here that opens. There we go. And okay, so there's a USB-C port, and it looks like there's a micro SD port in here. I guess perhaps you can maybe take off data from this and put it onto a computer, perhaps, if you wanted to do it that way, or maybe it's a way for it to save stuff. Maybe there's no internal memory, so maybe it saves it to a micro SD card. We'll have to look into that a little bit more. Good to see that there's USB-C though. That's something that needs to be adopted more in the future, is USB-C cables. Yeah, that's the future. No more of this micro USB stuff. That's pretty much all there is for the packaging, so let's get that out of the way. So yeah, the scanner looks really nice. It looks like it's got a good case to it. It's plastic, but it's got a texture to it. It's got a slightly rubbery texture to it. And the corners seem to be a little bit more built out than your normal scanners would be. Some of them are really plasticky, and you feel like if you drop it once, it's gonna just crack and break. So that's good. Let's take a look at how these cables plug in. So once again, the OBD2 cable, which is basically just a serial cable, looks like it just pops in there like so. So that just screws on like that, very simple. And then this one here, this is the 12 volts. So we go ahead and just line up the pin there, slide that on like so, and it appears that it has a threading action here. All right, well, there we go. So that's how that works. If you need these cables plugged in, that's how you plug them in. Pretty simple, nothing too crazy there. But yeah, this looks really interesting. It looks really cool. I'm looking forward to maybe getting this plugged into a car and seeing everything it does. My real curiosity here is the battery tester. I am really curious to see how this battery tester works on this scanner. I do have a car that has a battery in it that's pretty old, probably about 4 years old at this point. So I'm really curious to see how it reads that battery. I haven't really been having any issues with the battery, but that doesn't mean that there may be some sort of underlying issue with the battery. So I'm really curious to see how that works. So let's go head down to the garage right now and take a look. Another cool thing real quick, I noticed it has a power button on the side of it, which is usually weird with OBD2 scanners because normally they get power when you plug them into the car, they just turn on. Well, if you hold down the power button for a little bit, you actually it turns on. So obviously it has some sort of internal battery as well. So this is almost like a cell phone, if you will. And it looks like it runs an Android operating system. If I were to take a wild guess, it looks like an Android-based operating system. So this is actually pretty impressive. I mean, this is how, oh, made noise. So this actually has a lot of thought put into this, and I think that's pretty impressive. So it looks like you can actually set up the scanner. As you can see, it's at the point where you could start setting it up. So yeah, this is pretty cool. We're gonna go ahead. I'm just gonna run a quick setup through it and see what it does, and see what it tells us after we do the setup. So let's take a look. All right, select language, easy enough. Select time zone. Okay, so connected to Wi-Fi. So obviously this is where we can connect it for updates possibly. Let's see if it lets us do that. Let's get the Wi-Fi password in here. All right, so connected first shot to the Wi-Fi. That's awesome. All right, so now we're finally into the main screen of the scanner here. So we can actually start to do stuff on it. So, but yeah, it looks really interesting. So they built like their own small operating system on this, which is really nice. Now it shows the 42 number next to the upgrade button. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna hit that, and it looks like it just comes up with 42 upgradable softwares. All right, we're just gonna go ahead and upgrade all the software while we got it. No reason not to. And we'll go ahead and see how that process goes. All right, so as we can see, it's in the process of downloading and installing all those updates. So it downloads the update and installs it, and while it's installing the update, it starts downloading the next one. It's actually a really good method of doing this. They have this down really well. So I gotta give them credit on the update process. I mean, the fact that you're getting basically an Android tablet, or maybe a phone in this case, automatically upgrading over Wi-Fi, like this is really, really good. So I'm very impressed by the way that this interface works so far. So yeah, we're just gonna let this do its thing, go through all these downloads and upgrades, and then we'll take a look and see if that changes anything. So we're gonna let this just do its downloads and finish up, and then we'll go ahead and see what it's like plugging into a car. Okay, well, welcome to the garage now, where we have the Launch OBD2 reader, and we're gonna go ahead and plug it into this vehicle here. This is a 2017 Hyundai Ioniq EV. And we're gonna plug it in, and we're gonna see what kind of statistics and everything that we get on the reader. After this, we're gonna go ahead and plug this into a 12-volt battery and do the battery testing on this as well and see how well that process works. So let's get this plugged into this vehicle, and then let's see what the results look like. So first thing is, if you don't already know this, you take the OBD2 side of the scanner, plug it into the OBD2 port, typically located somewhere underneath the dashboard or around the bottom half of the dashboard of your vehicle on the driver's side. Some vehicles may differ, so you may have to look that up. But all we're gonna do is just take this and plug this in. So we're gonna get this turned on now and take a look at everything it has to do. All right, so now that we got the scanner booted up here, we're gonna try a couple different things here and see how this works. Now, the one thing I will admit, this thing is really nice because it is basically like an Android tablet or an Android phone. It really is a basic operating system. So it looks like right off the bat, it already shows that we have a 12 volt, 12.4 volts is what it's reading up in the top left, which is pretty cool. So that means it reads your 12 volt battery the whole time it's plugged in. Now, I don't even have the car on or anything right now. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we'll take a look at see what these OBD2 codes come up as, or we don't have anything pending on the dashboard as far as OBD2 issues, but what we can do is at least see some of the diagnostics that this can run, or how well the process works. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to hit this diagnose button, and it says auto detect. You could choose your specific manufacturer if you want, or we can do an auto detect. Let's just try auto detect and see if it actually does find the VIN. Okay, so it doesn't look like it successfully found the VIN number of the vehicle. So what we're going to do is we're going to type the VIN number in manually. It doesn't surprise me with this car just because of how limited manufactured this car was. So we're going to go ahead and get this VIN typed in, and then we'll take a look back at this shortly. Okay, so we got the VIN typed in manually, so let's see if it actually comes up. All right, so it does look like it comes up with the proper vehicle now. 2017 Hyundai Ioniq Electric. So now start the vehicle system detection. Okay. Let's go ahead and let it do that. Let it load up. General area or USA area looks like the only two options here. I guess we're going to choose the USA area. I'm not sure what they mean by general, but we're just going to pick USA because that's where we are. All right, so now as you can see, it's building up all the different systems, and it looks like it's telling us if there's any fault codes, any issues. Ooh, okay, here we go. Here's some things. So look how nice this diagnostic looks. I mean, it gives you a report, shows you everything. So it shows airbag event abnormal, which is weird because this car has never had an airbag issue. Oh, battery voltage low. Okay, so that kind of makes sense. I'm not running the car right now, so it's probably why it's doing that. I like this report. It looks very professional, very easy to read. Yeah, that is really cool. It looks like you could share it. Let's see what happens when we click share. Wow, okay, so you can actually just throw in, I guess, an email address. Huh, that's pretty neat. Now, a couple other things that this can do is brake resets, oil light resets, ABS bleeding, TPMS for your tire sensors, and electric throttle relearn. So that's pretty cool. Now, a lot of vehicles are not going to use all of these. Obviously, it all depends on your vehicle and whether or not the scanner can actually, access the protocols necessary to actually do these. So depending on your vehicle, would depend on if you could do all of these or any of these, which is really neat, this is a great product to have if you do those types of services on vehicles. Okay, so now that we've tried all that, let's go ahead and move over and try the battery tester system on this scanner. All right, so we got this plugged into a little bit different of a car here. This is a Corvette. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and try the battery health test on this vehicle here. So we're just gonna hit that button, let it do its reset procedure here. A few seconds. All right, turn off all electrical components. Confirmed all have been turned off. Hit next. Let's see. Yep, it's going to tell us about current voltage is 12.09. The car has been sitting for a couple days, so that's probably why. We're going to go hit acknowledge here. This is just a standard lead acid battery, nothing special. So we're going to go ahead and just hit next on common battery. Battery standard, we'll do a CCA again. Let's get the CCAs off this battery. Okay, so this is a 600 CCA battery, so we're gonna hit that, hit next. All right, battery test is in progress. Let's go ahead and let it do its thing here. All right, so here it's showing that the battery voltage is about 12.09. State of health is only at 68%, only 15% state of charge. Yeah, and it's been sitting for a couple days, and this battery is probably about 5 years old now. So this actually is probably pretty accurate. The measured starting current, 410 CCA, so it looks like it's down quite a bit from its original, production. So let's go ahead and hit the next test real quick. Okay, upon turning the engine off, select next to continue testing. Okay, we're already off. So let's go ahead and let it do its thing. Okay, start the car engine. I'm gonna go ahead and start the car engine. Sorry for the noise. Okay, hopefully it's not too loud where you can't hear me. So yeah, so to start duration, 4,500 milliseconds, start voltage 10.13. So yeah, it dipped a little bit when I hit the starter button on the motor there. Interesting. Let's see what's doing next test. Upon starting the engine, select next to continue testing, okay? So now it's running a test on pretty much the voltage system to see how the battery's accepting the voltage. Or at least I assume that's what it's doing. I don't know what else it could be doing. Start the engine and rev the idle up to 2,500 and maintain. Click next to continue testing. This is going to be a little difficult to do. So let me hit next, then I got to get in the car for a second. Okay, unfortunately that one was a really hard test to do while you're trying to do camera and by yourself and everything. I wasn't able to really get in the car quick enough to do the 2,500 RPMs while the test was running. But yeah, so on load voltage 13.62 volts, no load voltage 13.6 volts. So obviously I think the on load voltage is when you're actually holding down the accelerator, how much voltage it's producing from the alternator. The no low voltage is when it's just idling, I assume. And as you can see, they're really close, and that's probably because I didn't get in the car fast enough to hold down the throttle pedal to see more of the fluctuations in here. So unfortunately I missed out on a little bit of that, but you get the idea that it is working. It's pretty neat how it's able to develop all that while it's on the car. So that's pretty neat. So here we are. We do have the reports that we ran, so we can actually take a look at these reports and see the reports. I mean, it's pretty cool. So I mean, we can look back at these reports now and say, hey, when was it that I ran that report on the battery health, and when was it, and then it gives you the date and the time. You can even share it. I mean, this is really, really cool, and this is very helpful too. I mean, it also keeps a history of the health of your car, your battery, or whatever. So I mean, this is really good. This is really useful. So I am curious to run one more test on it with the battery after the car ran for a couple minutes. I am curious to see if there's any changes in the battery test here. Yeah, okay, so there's a little bit of difference. State of charge came up to 40%. State of health is still 67. I think that was 68 last time. 400 CCAs now it's showing. So yeah, I definitely think we have a battery that's starting to go bad. It says good battery operation, I think because the battery itself is still doing its job. But as we can see, there definitely is some degradation in the battery over time. And I think that's going to give us good insight into, when we should change our battery. I mean, if the state of health is showing at 67%, then, that is indication that probably, going through one more winter season, one more cold season, I think is probably going to be more than this battery can handle, by the time we hit spring. So since I don't drive this car very often, I'm not too worried about it. But, it is something that you do have to look into and eventually get. So if you ever have any concerns about, battery health in your vehicle, I mean, this is a really, really good tool for that. All right, so overall, let's talk about my impressions of this scanner. So what do we have here? We have an OBD2 scan tool. We have multiple system reset abilities, oil, lights, we have ABS, we have, let's see, I have to look at them again because I honestly can't remember all of them. Brake reset, oil reset, battery reset,
ABS bleeding, electronic throttle relearn, TPMS reset. I mean, overall, we have a lot of functionality in this. Not to mention that you can also do 12-volt battery testing, diagnostics, see the health of your battery. I mean, I think that's a fantastic tool. Everything you get in this package is amazing. The fact that this is basically a small computer with an operating system that runs battery powered, so you could actually just, you know, if you needed to review some of your old diagnostics that you ran, you could literally just grab the scanner, you know, sit down on the couch, scroll through your diagnostics, see all the reports that come up, reference old, you know, OBD2 codes that may have popped up at one point or another. The fact that you could do that all from here without having to plug the scanner in for power or come out to your vehicle and go through it again, I mean, that is fantastic in my opinion. The layout of all the applications, if you will, are great. I mean, I think it's simplistic to the point where you don't get lost in the menu systems. You don't get lost in what you need to do. What do I need to do? I need to do a battery test. Well, there's a picture of a battery right there. It's like, it's simple. Well, now I got to do a diagnostic on the vehicle. Oh, we'll just hit diagnose. Like, it's that simple. I don't really see how they could have made this any easier for the everyday mechanic, the person who needs to use this for themselves, or maybe if you do a lot of side jobs. Honestly, if you have a small garage, you can probably get away with something like this as well, depending on what you do at your garage. But I mean, I think the functionality in this is really, really impressive. And let's talk about the battery diagnosis feature of this. The fact that you can run a battery diagnostic on your vehicle, on your battery, while it's, you know, still in the vehicle is great. I mean, I think that's a fantastic thing. And not only that, but it gives you, you know, state of health, state of charge, your cold cranking amps. Like, it tells you everything that you need to know about your battery. If you suspect that your battery's going bad, plug this in, test it. It'll tell you if it's the battery that's starting to go bad, or maybe it'll give you hints on whether or not it's your electrical system, your alternator, or something else. That is a fantastic tool to have in your toolbox, basically. So I think this is a great tool. I mean, I wish I could use it more often. I didn't get to use any of the reset tools or anything like that, which if I do end up needing in the future to use those tools for any reason, I'm going to make a video on it using this, because I think that this would be really, really awesome in doing that. My brother's always working on cars, so maybe one day he'll have a need for one of these, you know, one of these systems to be reset or you know, fixed or something. This is going to be awesome for that. So I'm really looking forward to you know, using this in the future. As much as you hope not to have to ever use one of these devices, knowing that you can buy these things at a relatively cheap cost, keep it, you know, someplace at home, just to have quick grab it, go outside your garage, plug it in, and you already have an idea. Well, I think this is a pretty good investment. I'd like to thank Launch for sending this out to me for testing purposes. I think that this scanner is better than my expectations. So let's just put it that way. I honestly didn't believe this would be as convenient and as easy to use as I thought it would be. And the fact that it's a battery tester to boot makes it all that better. And also, let me just point out the fact that this could connect to your Wi-Fi to do updates. So all you have to do is connect it to your Wi-Fi, hit the upgrade button down in the corner here, and you can just upgrade all the features of this device right from this device. How does it get more simplistic than that? You don't have to download any utilities on your computer, plug it in, download some sort of, you know, file, and then install that to the scanner. I mean, it's all done right here on the scanner itself. This is a computer, basically, to do everything you need it to do. I can't say much more about that. I think out of all the OBD2 scanners I've ever used in my entire life, this has got to be one of the best ones for its functionality versus its price ratio. I know that there are $2,000 scanners out there that do a lot, and I get that because you're paying that much for it. But considering that this is a sub $200 scanner, considering the price, this is outstanding. Love to use it. good hold. It's a little heavy, I will admit. It's a little bit on the heavy side, but nice rubberized texture. You can hold it real easily. Good screen. Yeah, so obviously I don't really have much bad to say about this, but once again, I haven't fully tested this device with all of the possibilities that it can handle, or it claims it can handle. So without knowing all of those things, I can't give this one 100% perfect review. But what I can say is, if you need this to run OBD2 codes, if you need this to run diagnostics on your battery, obviously it seems like it does a lot of other stuff as well. If you needed a tool to do that, I think this is the one that you need to put in your toolbox. Well, everybody, I'd like to thank you very much for watching this episode. If you're in the market for an OBD tool and you've come across this one, I will leave a link in the description below of where you can get this. Once again, very, very nice. Thank you very much for watching today's episode. You can check us out on our website, techmotoring.com, facebook.com/techmotoring, on Twitter, @techmotoring. I'd like to thank you very much again for watching. And remember, welcome to the future, and welcome to Tech Motoring. We'll see you on the next episode.